Greetings. Hope you're having a great day. Hope this day finds you safe, healthy, happy, and thriving. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it, hoping it's your best life. And that's how you're expressing into the world the absolute best you have. Right? Isn't that the fourth agreement? Always do your best. If you're doing your best, then you're enjoying your life. And you can't not enjoy your life if you're doing your best. Think about that for a minute. So this is New Thought Media Network. I'm Ken Ludwig, and you are watching Vibrant Living. And let's see what the good Dr. Holmes has to say to us today. I know that I live under the government of divine law. I know that I live in the presence of divine love. I surrender everything that seems imperfect to that which is complete and whole. There is no anxiety, no tension, no strain. There is no doubt, no uncertainty. I know that it is impossible for me to be separated from the kingdom of God, which is within and around me. I live in this kingdom here and now. In this kingdom, there is peace, power, and plenty. And so it is the divine in, around, and through us all. And the divine in, around, and through us all is always expressing itself in, around, and through us. And I've been doing a lot of reading lately. If you've been watching the show, you've been seeing I've been reading 5 different books at once, and I've been really referencing them in my talks here on the show. And I'm really kind of excited about what I'm reading and where it's taking me. And in particular, these 2 books that I've talked about: the I Am, the Power of Discovering Who You Really Are by Howard Falco, and Living Untethered by Mark Singer, the third in his series of The Untethered Soul, The Surrender Experiment, and now Living Untethered. And the book, it's interesting how the 2 books came to be entangled in my life. It's it's very much the story of when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it's the 2 books are invigorating in me thought processes around how I live my life, how I'm experiencing my life. I'm experiencing my life 100% through my preferences. And I think last week on the show, I talked about, if we think about the science of mind symbol, right, that circular symbol, the teaching symbol, the very top is consciousness, the middle is soul or subconscious, and the bottom is section, is manifestation. And in that middle piece, that subconscious mind, the subjective, that's what I'm thinking about. Because in these 2 books, they're talking a lot about the idea of accepting reality. And they talk about it from 2 completely different perspectives, which is really, really cool, because it gives you an opportunity to really think about it from different points of view, the same basic idea. We experience our lives. And the one thing, Howard Falco makes this point a couple of different ways, a couple of different times in his book. And I'm only, I think, on chapter 4 in his book, but he makes the point that everything that has transpired over at least the 4.5 billion years that the earth has been in existence, but since whenever it all began, he makes the point that everything that has happened everywhere in the universe has transpired in accordance with my existence right now, with your existence right now. It all had to unfold the way it unfolded for us to even be here. Stop and think about that, because that to me is really, really huge. Everything that has ever happened had to happen exactly how it happened in order for you and I to even be here. That's huge. That's big. So then it all happened. And regardless of how it happened or when it happened, it actually happened. And regardless of what I think about it, regardless of what I don't like about it, regardless of what I really love about it, doesn't matter. As George Carlin said, the truth doesn't give up blank what you think about it, what your opinion is. It unfolded. It happened. And in the unfoldment of it, and in my experience of life over the course of my time here on the planet, I have developed a whole raft of things, thousands of things that I like or dislike, that I resist or I accept. And in that resistance and acceptance is how I experience everything that happens in my life. Either I see things as wonderful, those are the things I accepted, or I see through that lens of acceptance, through that subjective mind of acceptance, or I resist it because I see that particular experience again through that lens of the subjective mind. And in that subjective mind is my resistance and my acceptance, is every thought I've ever had. In fact, in the same idea that everything had to transpire from the very beginning of time right up until now in order for me to even be here, every thought that was ever thunk, no such word, I'm sure, but every thought that has ever been, every preference that has ever been is also in that subjective mind. I then am put in a position to look at this, and this is what these books are teaching me. I then sit in this position of, this is who I am because of my acceptances and my what I cling to, my acceptances and my resistances. By the way, the one that keeps referencing, I think I've read the book twice. I'm going to have to read it a third time, is The War of Art. And I don't, oh God, I should know who wrote The War of Art. Malcolm Gladwell? That's probably wrong, but maybe. The War of Art is the same thing about the resistances. What we resist. When you resist things, when you put things aside, when you say, oh God, I don't like that, I don't ever want to experience that again, guess what? You file that in your resistance. And when you see anything that even remotely resembles that same experience in the subjective, then you immediately relate it to what you've resisted. It's still there. You didn't set it free. So now the question is, can I train my brain to simply experience what goes on in my life, what unfolds in my life, the manifest moments that I have produced, because again, they're all manifest moments. Somewhere from my subconscious or even conscious, my objective mind, comes my experience. Can I teach my mind to just say, that was an experience, as opposed to view it through the lens of my acceptances or the lens of my resistances? In the Living Untethered here, there's let's see if I can find the page. I had a quote I wanted to read on page 64, and let's get to that if I can. The real question is not whether you like things, it's why are you not okay with them? The reason is actually quite simple. You can't digest them. It's hard to let some experiences just pass through without residual disturbance, but you need to learn how to do it. You learn to play tennis. You learn to play the piano. You learn all kinds of things, maybe even calculus. You don't know how to do these things. You didn't know how to do these things to start with. They're surely uncomfortable. They were surely uncomfortable until you learned to be comfortable with them. The soul can learn. You in here, the consciousness can learn to experience reality. In order to do so, you must not resist. Otherwise, you're going to immediately push reality away. That's what acceptance is. Non-resistance. It's having the commitment to fully allow reality to pass directly into the highest part of your being. In the end, all you are surrendering is your resistance to reality. You learn to let it come in, even if it is not comfortable, as it pours into you. Now, that to me is just, it's an extraordinary concept. It makes total sense in the context of the science of mind. It makes incredible sense to just simply experience reality, to let go of the resistance, to let go of the clinging to what I like, what I accept. In I Am, let's see if I can do this. It's really funny that I'm almost in the exact same pages in both books. This is from the idea of you create your personage, your reality, your personality you create from what you attach I am to. And that all has to do with your resistance and your acceptance. And so here's this: in every case, who you believe yourself to be at your core is what you will seek to validate from your experiences in the world. In other words, whatever it is I believe myself to be, I will always be looking through that lens at the world and looking to validate who I think I am. In the context of metaphysical, existential metapsychiatry. In that context, existential metapsychiatry by Dr. Thomas Hora, it's called self-confirmatory ideation. We will do everything and anything in our power to do, to see, to experience things that confirm who we think we are. In the idea of accepting reality as it is, then who I think I am changes. All of a sudden, I am no longer my preferences and my acceptances and resistances. All of a sudden, I am just, I am. I am experiencing reality. Again, I hope when I say that, I make sense. I know I've referenced this a couple of different times in the show. Once upon a time, when I first started studying metaphysics 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago now, I can remember being really excited about it. And I would talk to people about it, and I'd be like, hubba-da, 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 hubba-da. I couldn't string together two coherent sentences. Now, over the course of 30 years, of course, I feel like I can discuss metaphysics with pretty damn near anybody. But I feel the same way about these concepts that I am getting from these two books, that I don't want to sound like I'm talking gibberish. I want to absolutely sound, absolutely, Terry, if I believe I'm a loser, I will seek out confirmation of that belief. It works for the positive, it works for the negative. That's a comment from my friend Terry Battaglia here. No matter what the I am belief is, no matter what it is, we will seek to confirm it in our experience of everything that comes through us or by us. Again, remembering that every moment is a manifest moment. It is all something that I manifested from my previous thoughts, desires, intentions, however you look at that. It is all a manifested moment. But in every single moment that occurs, even though I manifested it, I may manifest it in accordance with my belief that if I think I'm a loser, I am going to manifest something that confirms that I'm a loser. Once again, self-confirmatory ideation. It's a huge, huge thought to be able to take my 73 plus years of existence, take all of the things that I have created as my preferences, everything I resist, everything I accept, and to make the effort to try and teach my consciousness to put them aside in the next experience of my life. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope I'm making sense when I say it. It sounds, actually, I was concerned, would I sound like I did when I first started studying metaphysics? If I talked about this today, would it be hubba, 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 hubba? I'd just be babbling. But no, it all makes sense the way it's coming out of my mouth. It sounds to me the way I wanted it to sound. If that, I hope, makes sense to you. That's how I wanted it to unfold today, was for you to get that message. Stop. When you know, and in The Untethered Soul and in all three of his books, Michael Singer talks about the idea of the more he experienced resistance to anything, the more he stepped forward and did it. That's huge. And then the question comes up, how can I change this at my almost 70 years? Terry asks here in the comments. And and I'm in the same boat, Terry. I'm not telling you something I've learned. I'm telling you something I'm learning. And I'm telling you something I'm working on. And I'm telling you something that in the brief moments when I catch myself and I go, you know what? Let's take an example. The classic example is the driving thing. Okay. As opposed to, my preference is to get the hell out of my way. Let me drive as fast as I want to drive, and don't cut me off, and don't tailgate me. Don't do the things that annoy the hell out of me. And those are all my preferences. It's a great training ground. The driving thing is such a great training ground for so many things. It's a great training ground for me to stop and say, okay, you know what? That just happened, and it was just simply something that happened. It was not something for me to be concerned about, for me to accept or to resist. I'm sorry, not to accept, but to cling to or to resist. It is something just for me to accept as something that has just happened. Very simply. I save myself the emotions, particularly when they're negative. I save myself them. Because negative emotions, it's Peter McWilliams, man. You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. And every time you have those thoughts about the crazy drivers, or as my friend Mike in Colorado used to call them, the dill rods. When the dill rods screw you up on the highways of life, the only person who gets affected is me. I get pissed off. I dump a bunch of cortisol through my system. That negatively affects every single cell of my body. And the older I get, the more important it is to affect every cell of my body as positively as I possibly can every minute of every day, not negatively. Great reason not to want to get caught up in the emotions of the moment. Not only, though, in the negative, in the positive. Someone pays you a great compliment. The natural thing is we cling to that. We just, wow. That's wonderful. And we recall it multiple times over the course of our lives. Well, suppose we just let it go. Suppose it was just, wow, that was nice. That was a moment. That was an acceptance. And don't get all high about it. Just let it have been. I'm not there. And I have and I don't profess to have big answers to this at this juncture. What I do know is, though, that these readings have changed my life. And the other book that is a much deeper dive in on a macro scale, if you will, that I'm reading along with these is the Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. That book will make a difference. And the other book that fits into these as well, from a physical and mental, emotional, and even spiritual standpoint, is The Energy Codes by Sue Morter. I'm reading all four of those, and those of you who've been paying attention know that I have a fifth book I'm reading, which is Being Henry, The Fonz and Beyond, which is it's Henry Winker's autobiography, which I love. And it's the only time in my life when I have thrown into this mix of multiple books at once, a book for entertainment purposes only. So if I want to go and sit down in my chair and read, and I don't feel like brain teasing or getting caught up in the personal development kind of thing, the self-actualization kind of thing, then I have my Being Henry to read from, just surely for entertainment. I will tell you, I have another book that I read about a third of that I'm going to read the rest of now. It's from my all-time musical hero is Keith Richards. And he wrote a book called Life. And underneath it says, you better remember it all, or something like that. Or you won't believe it, but I remember everything. Something to that effect. It's a great, great book, a great story. I started reading it years ago, before all of the things started to unfold with moving from Colorado to North Carolina, blah, 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 blah. So but that's going to be my next book for entertainment. In the meantime, I will continue to add into my mix the books that I want to read for that self-actualization. And the book I mentioned earlier, two books I mentioned earlier, Peter McWilliams, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. And I think it's Malcolm Gladwell, The War of Art. It may not be him. And I'm sorry if I mislead you on that one. But those books also will play into this whole idea of wanting to be clear that I am accepting life on life's terms. The other thing is, by the way, that Singer talks about over and over and over again is not only does he go ahead and do everything that gives him the most resistance to not do it, he goes ahead and does it, but he also says that's part of allowing life to guide him. What life presents him is the path that he follows, whether or not he has resistance. That's it. That's it for me today. That's what I got for you. Always remember, please always remember that the New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization. We live, move, and breathe by virtue of your generosity. Please go to newthoughtmedia.org. That's ntmedia.org. Click on donate. We are immensely grateful for every penny that you choose to donate to us. If you want to reach me, you can send me an email at teamrockitnow@gmail.com. Of course, always remember that this show is brought to you by HempWorks, the world's #1 direct-to-consumer distributor of CBD and hemp-infused products. We have our CBD-infused coffee that is off the charts, 5 milligrams of CBD in every cup, along with some chaga mushrooms for your health. My daily tonic right here, my 750 milligram peppermint CBD oil, full spectrum. It is something I take a full dropper full at night before I go to bed. I take about a half to 2/3 of a dropper full in the morning. This helps me in so many ways. It helps me with it. Its main purpose in your body is homeostasis, creating balance. It is an amazing tonic for your entire system. 2 new products. CBDA. CBDA is a highly concentrated form of CBD. Rather than do a dropper full, I do 2 drops of this under my tongue. The other product is our new natural pre-rolls. Pre-rolls, baby. These are amazing. They're like a big old blunt. And I think I've mentioned before on the show, I smoked cigarettes for 23 years. I smoked a lot of cigarettes, along with all my abuse, my addiction, all those years of abuse and addiction. So I'm very conscious of what I inhale as far as smoking. So I'll do like 3 or 4 hits on that pre-roll. And both of those products, the CBDA and the pre-roll, are helping me dramatically with arthritis pain. And I've been experimenting to make sure that I'm experiencing what I think I'm experiencing. And that's exactly what happens. I take my CBDA or I do a few tokes on the pre-roll, and my knee pain and my spine pain are dramatically reduced. So there you have it. If you want to know anything more about them, find me or just go to my page, hempworks.com/Ken Ludwig, or you can send me that email at teamrocketnow@gmail.com. Once again, don't forget, we are a nonprofit organization. Please donate to the cause of keeping the New Thought Media Network alive and well. We so appreciate you and your generosity. As always, I am immensely grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and blessings the universe has to offer. I hope you will join me every Thursday at 2 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. But until the next time, my friends, namaste.